Well, now we've moved over, we're kind of continuing this same, what we've been working on just previously, ratios and proportions, but we're going to apply it to really some everyday situations. We're first going to look here at percentage of change, and then we're going to move and use that to talk about discounts. If I'm trying to buy a pair of jeans on a discount, or another side is computing sales tax. But we're going to start here with just by determining a percent of change. Now, a percent of change is the ratio of the change or the difference in an amount, a new amount we're going to call it, to the original amount expressed as a percentage. Now, if the new number is greater than the original amount, well, then we're going to have a percent of increase. But if the new number is a lesser amount than the original amount, we've got a percent of decrease. Now, we got two steps that we've got to do to solve this type of problem. Let's look at this first one on the left. We're told that we got an original number of 66 and a new number of 30. Well, we're going to start by taking the new number and subtracting from it the original number. Now, in this case, we got 30 minus 66. Well, that's going to give me negative 36. And the fact that this is negative 36, tells me that this is going to be a percent of decrease, which makes sense. If I look at an original and now it's 30, well, I know it's gone down. So that's a percent of decrease. And then we're going to set up a proportion. And we're going to start by using this number that we found as the difference between the new and the old. And we're going to set it up as a proportion over the original amount. So I'm going to have negative 36. That's my difference between the new and the original over the original amount, 66. And we're going to set that equal to, and we're going to give a variable of r, like a rate of increase or decrease, a rate over 100. Because percentages are determined in terms of 100. In other words, 25%. If I have 25%, then that is, well, let's just say if I had 100 apples and I gave away 25 of those apples, I gave away 25% of those apples. I still have 75%. But once we've got this in this form, then we can use our cross multiplication and finish this problem and determine what the percent of decrease is. So now I've got negative 36 times 100 equals 66, R being my rate. Well, let's see, negative 36 times 100, well, that's negative 3,600 equals 66R. I'm going to divide both sides by 66. And let's see, negative 36 divided by 66. Negative 3,600. Negative 3,600 divided by 66. And that's going to give me, and I'm just going to round this to the nearest percentage. That's going to give me negative 50. It's actually negative 54.5 or negative 55%. All right, let's look at this second one. So again, I got an original number of 9.8 and I've got a new number of 12.1. And so again, I'm going to take the new number, 12.1, and I'm going to subtract from it the original number, 9.8. So let's see what that equals. Let's see, 11 minus 8 is 3. Take away the 1. It should be 2.3. Yeah, 2.3. All right. Now, 2.3 is a positive number. So I'm going to have a rate of increase. All right, so now how am I going to set this up? Well, again, I'm going to take the difference between the new and the old and the original, 2.3, over the original, 9.8, equals R times 100. And we're going to cross multiply again. And so here I've got 2.3 times 100 equals 9.8R. And 2.3 times 100 is going to be 230 equals 9.8R. I'm going to divide both sides by 9.8R. And when I do, let's see, let's get into that. Got my calculator over here. 230 divided by 9.8, 23.5. So I got a rate of increase of 23.5%. All right, we're going to look at a couple more. Well, let's look at a couple of more examples. And all of these examples, by the way, can be found on page 119 in the textbook, example 1. But now we've got an original amount of 40, a new amount of 24, and we're asked to find the percent of change. Well, first let's find out if this is going to be a percentage increase or a percent decrease. And let's say I'm going to take the new amount, 40. I'm going to subtract from it the original amount, 24. And 40 minus 24 is 16. Then I'm going to set up my proportion and my first ratio. I'm going to have 16 over 24, my original amount. My difference, the numerator is the difference between the new and the original over the original equals R, my rate, over 100. And we're doing this in percentage. That's why we're doing it over 100. Now we're going to cross multiply. So I got 16 times 100 equals 24R. And 16 times 100 is 1600. 1600 equals 24R. Let's go ahead and divide both sides by 24. And let me go to my calculator here. So I got 1600 divided by 24. And that comes to 66.6666. And so I've got, let me go back up here. I'm going to say that was an increase. We'll make sure I know that. I've got an increase of 66.7%. One last one. Okay. I've got an original amount of 500, a new amount of 131. So I'm going to take my new amount, 131. I'm going to subtract from it the original, 500. I probably want to use my calculator. 131 minus 500 comes to negative 369. Well, this number is negative, so I know I'm going to have a decrease. I'm going to have a percent decrease. I'm going to set up my two ratios, solve for my proportion. So I've got negative 369 over the original amount, 500, equals my rate, R, over 100. Let's cross multiply. We got negative 369 times 100 equals 500R. Negative 369 times 100 is negative 36,900 equals 500R. I'm going to isolate the variable by dividing both sides by 500. And let's see, negative 36,900. Negative 36,900 divided by 500 comes to, even number, how about that? Negative, because it's a percent decrease now, and that's a negative number anyway, 73.8%. All right, well, there's 4 examples. If you're looking at 2 numbers, an original and a new, step 1 is we take the new amount and we subtract from it the old amount. If that number is positive, we're going to have a rate of increase. If that number is negative, we're going to have a rate of decrease. Then we set up a proportion. We take the difference between the new and the original over the original, setting up that ratio. And then our second ratio on the other side of the equal sign is R over 100. We cross multiply and solve for R. Shazam! Be patient. Math's about persistence, practice, patience, and perseverance.